Scrappy friends. I have something fun for you today. I am going to be using this picture from Instagram as inspiration to make some homemade Project Life or pages, inserts. So if you guys have watched my previous video, I was talking about how I started to do Project Life. And part of what I wanted to do with doing pocket scrapbooking is to do it more mixed media wise, or to put my own twist on it. So I am going to be creating a handful of cards with just art type supplies that I have in my crafty area. They're not going to be overcomplicated. For the most part, you're just going to see me do like watercolor type things, and I don't use too much mixed media. I do some stamping on it. So if that's not your cup of tea to watch, just so you know, that's pretty much what this whole video is. I am not putting together my Project Life spread yet. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I need to print off a whole bunch of pictures for Project Life. So hopefully in the next few days I will be able to get that going, and then I'll be able to put out a video when I put everything together. And that video shouldn't take me very long, because really most of the cards that I'll be using are already made. So I'm just taking some of this food color gel that I like to use for watercolor because of how bright it is, and I'm just going to be using some of that. I also will be using some acrylic paint. It's kind of hard to see it. It's up at the top, up there. So what I'm doing right now, after I just painted some yellow and green, is drawing a pineapple, and I'm just drawing this freehand. I have drawn this type of pineapple before. I have a journal that I just use for like sketching and stuff, and I don't do a whole lot of sketching, but I do on occasion. Like when I have an idea of something that I'm thinking I want to sketch out, I will sketch out a few times what I'm thinking about doing, so I kind of get the hang of how I want to do it. So this is my interpretation of the whole pineapple thing, and I am in love with pineapples, and the fact that I live in Hawaii just makes it fun, a lot more fun. So I am using this Pilot silver marker pen. So it's almost like a paint pen. So you press down on it, and then the paint flows out when you put it on the paper. So I'm using the silver just to outline my pineapple. I have done this in a copper color, and that looks really fun. But the colors that I was wanting to use, because I'm going to be using the colors that are inspired from that Pinterest paper, or picture of that drink with all the melon balls and stuff in it. So the colors are pink, orange, green, and then the light green, that's like the candle or the honeydew color. So later on I will be using watercolor. I think I start another card before I do this. Yeah, I'm going to do a card that just has just pink dots on it. And I'm just pretty much taking my water and dipping it in a little bit of that gel and just really thinning it out and stuff. But I really want this card to be pretty bright, and then I'm going to stamp on this later on. So pretty much I'm just trying to think of different patterns or designs that I can do that are fairly easy, but that will be fun. And because of the picture that I chose, everything will kind of match together because they all will be similar colors. So here I'm going to work on the top part first, and I'm just mixing yellow and green together to get a green color that is a little bit more yellow, because the tops of those, they are kind of green, but I wanted them to, I wanted them to be a little bit more spring-like. So it's not completely true. And then I take an orange, a little bit of the orange and then the yellow together and just kind of mix it around. And I really, really like the way that this turned out. That watercolor look with that silver looks really, really fun. So I'm going to be working on a chevron design on this. So I'm going to use some washi tape. And I know I don't use my washi tape nearly enough, so this is a really fun way to use my washi tape. I will say that some of it kind of stuck on when I took it off, and you're not going to see me take it off. I did that off screen. So, but I was looking at some layouts on Facebook, I think, and Lisa, who's Maggie Milo, was showing some of the layouts she did for the crop that she was at on the weekend, and she had a layout that had some chevrons across the whole thing, and I really loved the way that that looked. So I'm kind of mimicking that in a way and using that as part of my inspiration. And I like to do that when I'm making a layout or doing. And now that I'm going to be doing these cards, I really want to look for outside things to kind of inspire me. I mean, I'm sure many of you guys do that as well. But it's just something fun, and and I notice that it just keeps me thinking when I look at other things is like, oh, what can I use from this? What from this is my style that I can take from that? So I'm just I keep adding to that green card, and I'm going to stamp on that. My goal is to stamp some citrus slices on it. I know I have a couple of stamps that have like a half of like citrus, like a lemon or like a lime slice, and then a whole slice. So later on I'll look through. So there's all that, and then I'm just going to use some of this again. I do pick out my regular watercolors a little bit later. Now this is not archival safe. I would assume, since it's for food, but I don't really care about longevity. I mean, the fact that really I'm not expecting this to last hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, if my kids keep it later on, that'll be great, but, if they don't, it's like, I know that they love looking at all my stuff now, and so I'm sure later on they will love that, and I think just the thought that their mom made this stuff is what is going to be the attracting factor to them. So the fact that it's not going to, last. But I would assume that these pigments are pretty bright, that they'll probably last a little bit longer than other things in the sunlight. So I think at this point I'm mixing some paint that I'm trying to get like a cantaloupe color. And so I use a really light green, and I think it's a tea green acrylic paint, and then I used white in it just to tone it down just a little, and I'm just going to do some diagonal stripes. Now, and at this point, I mean, as you can see, besides the pineapple, I don't think that this is overly out of the box thinking. I'm just using something for a point of inspiration. And I think that this is what is going to keep it a little bit simpler for me, because the fact that I am making it, I mean, this still took like 3 hours to do all of the cards that I did. And I did quite a few cards though. So, I mean, so it still took a long time, and I haven't put together my spread yet, but I have a better idea. And I'm probably not going to use all of these cards in that spread. So I'll mix some other papers that I have that I think will match with this and stuff. So this one I'm also doing circles, and this one is going to be more inspired from that drink. So this will look a lot more like the melon balls in that glass cup. So here's the orange, and then I use some pink, and then I will use some green as well. So I'm just picking random spots, and some of those, like that striped one that I did with the green, I will probably end up putting another paper on it or a picture on it and layering other stuff on it, because that's kind of what my goal is. I want to use a couple other things too. So, but really, if I can keep it a little bit simple but add a twist to it, then it'll be fun. So, And hopefully it won't be so much work that after like 2 months, I won't be like, I can't do this. So I'm hoping that you guys help inspire me to keep doing this because it was really, really fun just to even, in a way, just make cards. So I want to use some green to make it more like the mint leaf that's in the cup. But I don't want big circles because I'm not a big green person, though I have a ton of green in this and I really like it. It's very spring-like to me, or almost summer. Well, in here in Hawaii, it kind of feels like summer because it's starting to get a lot warmer. I mean, we have to have the AC on like almost all the time now. It's kind of stinky. I hate it. Oh man. Only problems that you can complain about if you live in a place that is hot and humid, right? um, but that's okay. I'll take it, right? So this card, I'm just doing some different stripes, and then I'm going to add a couple of other elements to it that are a little different. I don't know. I don't really care for this card, but I was just trying to think of a way to use all those colors and have it a little different. I don't know. I probably will cover a lot of this card up. We'll see. Who knows? I could like it and later on or something. Or who knows? Maybe I won't even use it. I think that's the thing about doing this kind of stuff is sometimes you got to try something to see if you like it. And really, I'm just playing around. I did not think ahead of time, oh, these are all the things that I want to do. So I know I want to use that mason jar stamp. And so I was thinking that I could take some different blocks of color and have it be pretty much on the inside of the mason jar. So that's why I kind of seen where I might put it. And then I did those off to the side, and they're going to be off to the side. So here you see that this is later on. I had taken some time and figured out how to draw a hibiscus. I know in the past I've done like homemade plumeria flowers, and I really love the way that that looks, but I really wanted to do a card that was a little bit bolder. So I decided to draw a hibiscus flower. Now, I spent quite a bit of time practicing this, and I didn't tape doing it, but I really wanted to use the watercolor. And so right now I'm just taking some pinks and purple, almost like a magenta purple type of color for the inside, and then I'm going to color the leaves and the stem and the stamen part of the hibiscus flower. And I'm trying to keep my leaves really, really light, so it's going to be very reminiscent of the leaf on the pineapple. And so this will also help those colors match. Now, and one thing I found with this is that I had to be really, really careful because near the end of doing this little section, my colors were really starting to blend together, and I really wanted that middle part to be very, very bright. I mean, you can see it. It's pretty bright. So now the thing I like with these is that this sets, and now once I do that, they're not going to bleed too much when I go and put in the other color that I'm going to do later on. And so I also had drawn this earlier, and this is just a palm tree. And I used some Papermate Flare markers along with some pencil. So, but I really wanted to do like a really, really light sunset type of concept around this tree. And so as you've seen, I used some yellow, and then I added some pinks and orange, and then I moved towards like a purpley color on the edge. But I wanted it really, really light. I wanted it subtle. I didn't want it to be like, oh my gosh. And I think it turned out really, really well. And so now I'm thinking about doing that. I want some ocean behind the tree a little bit. So I'm kind of taking some greens, it's like a teal color, and then some blues, and it looks really, really blue right now. I'm not sure if I add a little bit more green or if it's just the camera. So I'm trying to make a sand color because I was like, oh, well, the tree can't just be on in the ocean. That doesn't work. For me, that just wasn't going to work. So talk about me being the realist, right? So yeah, here's I add a little bit more green. It looks a little bit more green in real life, but maybe I think if I could redo it, I would made it a little bit lighter, but I added some white in there a little bit just to kind of make it look like the waves a little bit. And I'm not trying to be super precise, but I am trying to kind of bring out a little bit. And then I used a little bit of white up in the top to kind of make it look like clouds. So now I'm just doing some more chevrons. And this is just going to be up at the top of the card because I figured I will use a stamp on here. And that's part of another thing that I'm hoping with these cards is that I can use a lot of my stamps. I have a growing number of stamps now. I don't buy a ton of stamps, but I have a few. And I don't use them very often. And I would like to use them. So I'm hoping that I can get better use of my stamps by using them in Project Life. So I had drawn some diamonds, and I'm just going to color them in the 4 colors on the sides. And this one is a good one because I can use it horizontal or vertical depending on how my spread is. And I haven't decided exactly if I'm going to use a front and back for 1 week. I'm going to do 2 weeks at a time. So I haven't decided if I'm going to use just one, front and back for the 2 weeks or if I'm going to end up having to do like 1.5. So I haven't decided exactly, but I'm thinking that one of them I want to use vertical and one horizontal. And the flower and the tree have to be, vertical. So I'm trying to think what I was doing on this one. I know I'm mixing. Oh, I'm just painting on here. Pretty much I'm just kind of trying to, it's not over complicated. I figure I can either stamp on there, I can put, other paper on top of it, and so I'm trying not to overcomplicate it. And this I'm just going to do some squares and more pinks and I'm going to add a purple to it just to kind of tie in with the flower. So I'll probably use that card if I use it in with the week that I have the plumeria. And I do stamp on there. I don't really care for this card only because I don't like the way the stamped images turned out. So I might cover it quite a bit so you won't see where the stamps are. It just didn't turn out that good. It was the color that I used. So here I'm going to go back and add. I decided that I wanted to use some orange for the flowers, for the outside of the flowers. And some of the some of the hibiscus here are like a two-tone. And there's one that when I've walked, I see that's more of a yellow color. And I think if I would redo this, I would do it more of a yellow, like a really warm yellow into that purple color. But that's okay. I like how it turned out. And it doesn't have to be perfect to true life. And so I'm doing it darker on the outside, and then as it goes into the purple, I want the color to be a little bit lighter, which is why I'm kind of outlining, and then I add a little bit of water to it, and I'm trying to make sure, because I'm doing this on a dry piece of paper, that either I don't add too much water, but I add a little bit of water to it, kind of like almost a little bit beforehand, so it kind of moves around a little bit on the page. And that's just kind of the technique that I like to use when I'm painting. It's kind of just, you got to play around with it and see how you like to watercolor. Like that bottom one, I think turned out a little bit too dark for me, and I'm adding just a little bit of pink in between to blend in the orange with the purple color. So to make it look a little bit more natural. But I really love how this turned out. It turned out beautiful. So the hard work of looking and watching like 5 different videos of different people drawing hibiscus flowers, definitely paid off. So here I'm going through my stamps, and now so here everything's dry, and I'm going to stamp it. And I think I'm going to have to get a new black one soon. It's starting to not be as dark. So that stamp says Dream It, Wish It, Simply Do It, and that's Pink Fresh Studios, which I actually have quite a bit of stamps from them now that I get their kit. So here I decided that I want to put my mason jar on vellum, and this is like the last plain vellum that I have. I think I have gold vellum. So I'm going to use this Stampin' Up! Teal color, and that's Coastal Cabana. And then I'm going to use this white from the Brilliance. And this comes out really, really, really nice, that white, on that vellum. Once it dried, oh, I love the color that it has. So here's the lemon slices that I use, and that is Ellie Studios. Or L's Studio. I'm not really sure exactly how you say it. I've heard different people say it different ways. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of white, not exactly on the green, or, well, it looks a little bit more green because of the color of the green. But so I like that. And it's really, really fun because it almost looks like a lime slice, even though it was supposed to be more lemon, but that's okay. I don't mind. And so this one I'm going to do Fun in the Sun, and that's Ellie Studio as well. And I just thought that looked really, really fun because of the orange, the yellowed orange to pink that it goes. And that one, I think if I had maybe used my stamp a few times, it probably would have, it ended up being, it didn't like saturate the whole color or like the whole line. So here you can see I'm using different flowers, and these are Ellie Studio as well. And I think all of these are from, I want to say, the Shine collection. I know some of them are from Shine. It would help if I had them all out, wouldn't it? I don't. So here I decided that I wanted to put Aloha State or Frame of Mind on this card. I wanted something just a little bit more to make it fun. And so I have this pack of just individual letters. And then the pineapple, I'm going to do the word sweet. I think if I had redone it, I would have moved it over a little bit more towards the middle, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut these out, and I'm still trying to figure out which one I want to use. And I end up using the Coastal Cabana one, but I think if I had to, I mean, and I suppose I could probably try to take it up. I just don't want it to rip my card. And this cardstock is a little bit thicker than the cheaper stuff. Like sometimes I use a little bit cheaper cardstock if I can, depending on what I'm doing, but I decided to go with one that was a little bit thicker just because I am doing the media on it, like the watercolor, and I didn't use any gesso on this. So I'm almost done with this, guys. And so I am just going to draw some lines on here and do some faux stitching. And then I think that is about it for what I do. So keep a lookout for my process, and let me know how you guys like this video. And if you want to keep seeing more like this, I will do a video each time I do these, if you would like that. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.